Hello, welcome to our show today. Thank you for joining us at the Campus for All Animals, the Houston SPCA. I'm Dr. Roberta Westbrook, and I have an exciting show for you today. We are going to talk about some of the things that you've probably wondered all your life, right? Like, what kind of animals wind up in the shelter? Are they all sick? Are they all injured? How do the animals get there and where do they come from? And so we're going to address some of those things today and even tell you how you can help us save the animals that come into the shelter. So start thinking about your questions about different types of diseases and injuries that we see in animals in the shelter, and I'll try to help answer those questions. Before we get to our topic for the day, I want to introduce you to a wonderful pet that we have available for adoption. Look at this sweetheart. Her name is Lizzie. Lizzie came to us, a healthy dog, about 4 years old. She's already spayed, and she came to us because her family just wasn't able to have time for her anymore. And that happens sometimes. Life changes occur, and sometimes a family may not have the available time to spend with a pet that they would like to. And Lizzie is looking for that family that's going to be able to nurture her, to give her a wonderful life. She's a very calm dog. She loves pets. She's very calm. She seems like the kind of dog that would just like to sit on the couch with you, watch your favorite show. She's a great dog. So come on down to our campus this weekend. You don't need an appointment to visit with our pets and to adopt a pet into your family. So no appointment is necessary. You can just come on down, bring your family and friends. Face masks are required, but we even have those for you if you forget yours. So come on down and join us and take a look at Lizzie and all of the other puppies, cats, and dogs that we have available. This weekend is a wonderful event called Clear the Shelters. So our goal is going to be to get lots of animals into wonderful new homes. We're going to have cotton candy. We're going to have balloon animals. We're going to have lots of fun things for you and your family to do. So come on down if you have the time. All right. Thanks, Lizzie. We're going to let Lizzie play a little bit for us and just kind of relax here. And you guys will be able to check in with Lizzie throughout the show today. And so what I want to talk to you about is, again, one of the things that makes the Houston SPCA unique is that we take in a large number of injured and abused animals. And that's unfortunate. But what we are very proud of is that when we get those animals in, we are able to get them into new homes. We're able to get them better, get them into new homes. One of the departments that we have is called our 24-hour rescue ambulance service. What that means is that we have a group of wonderful animal rescuers who drive around receiving calls, distress calls from the community from animals that are injured or ill. And we are able to take those animals here into the Houston SPCA to our emergency and triage center. And those animals go through getting a physical examination. We evaluate them for injuries, and we try to get them healthy and well and on their way to finding a wonderful new home. This is one of our current patients who came in on our ambulance service, who's such a cute dog here. And unfortunately, she's suffering from an injury to her rear limb. So when we have animals come in through our ambulance service, our veterinary team evaluates them and we identify their injuries and we make every effort to get them healthy and well. This poor girl has an injury to her rear limb. She has a broken bone. And what we're doing is we're trying to stabilize this broken bone with a bandage and splint here so that the bone will be stabilized until she can have surgery to have that repaired. And so this is an example of a case that we get into the shelter because you might be wondering, are all the animals in the shelter injured? Are they all ill? What is the circumstances surrounding them? And this is a common one. We get animals that get out, they get hit by a car, they have injuries and illnesses just from being outdoors. And so we're able to help get them back to a healthy healthy circumstance here. And so we're looking forward to getting this animal well, getting her well. She doesn't have a name quite yet. We're working on that. And so we'll get her healthy and well. We'll get this leg fixed up, and hopefully she can find her new forever home. So do you all have any questions about the types of animals that we see in the shelter? Hi, sweetie.
So Jackie was wondering, when you do adopt an animal from Houston SPCA or any animal shelter like around the country, how do you know if your pet has a disease that you're bringing home when you have pets at home already?
Such a great question. So if you're going to adopt a pet from our campus or from a shelter in general, you may be wondering, how do I know if they're healthy? How do I know if they're going to have a disease that could be spread to my own pets at home? And I'll tell you how we do this. Every animal that comes through gets a thorough physical exam by our veterinary medical team. They get a series of vaccinations, they get dewormed, they get heartworm and flea prevention, and we make every effort to not only identify disease, but to treat that disease and to get them well before they are put up for adoption. We see lots of animals, and so sometimes we don't catch everything. Sometimes disease is very mild, and it can go unnoticed for quite some time. Sometimes it can go unnoticed until the animal is in a home and there's a situation in which the symptoms are more apparent. And so we aren't able, unfortunately, to guarantee 100% that every animal is in perfect health, but we do make every effort to identify and treat the disease that we see. We recommend, so that's one thing that you can count on, that we are going to do the best that we can to identify the disease and send you home with a healthy pet. Something that you can do at home is to make sure that you keep a newly adopted pet separated from your pets that you already have for a period of about 2 weeks, or until your pet has had an additional examination by your family veterinarian. And the reason is there's some conditions that take some time to show up. They may not show up right away. And so if you bring a pet home today and the pet may look absolutely normal and healthy and not have any abnormal symptoms at all of illness, and then a couple of days later, sometimes illness that they were harboring in their body all of a sudden comes to light. And if you have already mixed those animals together, there's a possibility that you could have animals that contract disease from each other. So we recommend keeping those pets separate for a period of time. If you can do that, get an examination by your family veterinarian as soon as possible, and then you can make proper introductions. I know it's difficult because you want everybody to just get along and start playing together right away, but it's safer to keep them isolated for a period of time. Good question. What else can I help you with?
So Joe says that she is fostering a pet with mange. It's been treated, but is the pet still contagious?
That's a great question. So one question that we would address is, what type of mange is it? Because there are two general broad categories of mange. One type is contagious and the other type is not. And so if you are fostering a pet with mange, it's important to know which type it is. We are also going to have another pet that's going to come out that has the non-contagious type of mange, and we can talk about that. But we are going to let this baby go rest, and we're going to be extra careful, and she's going to be able to get her leg all fixed up in the next couple of days. And so look out for her. So mange. If your pet has mange, again, it's important to know which type is contagious, which type isn't. The type that is contagious is called sarcoptic mange. You might hear people call it scabies. Sarcoptic mange or scabies is transmissible. It is contagious to other dogs and other cats. And so this would be a type of mange where you would want to keep the pets completely separate. You'd want to wear gloves between handling them so that they don't spread that. On the other hand, there is a different type of mange that we call Demodectic mange or Demodex. Demodex is not contagious between animals. It's usually mite that's actually found in small numbers on normal healthy dogs, found in small numbers. But animals that have suppressed immune systems or they have very poor nutrition, sometimes that Demodex mite overgrows and it causes widespread hair loss and crusting and scaling of the skin. Take a look at this cute. I know you may be looking at this pet here and thinking, oh, what's wrong with her? She's missing all of her hair. But even so, she's adorable. And she has the type of mange that is not contagious. This is an example of Demodectic mange. This is a tiny little mite that lives on the skin. It burrows into the skin and lives around the hair follicles. And because it feeds on the skin cells and the tissue around the hair follicles, it causes all of the hair to fall out. And so sometimes if they go untreated, like this baby here, they can lose all of their hair. The good news is this is not contagious, and it's really easy to treat. It usually takes several months for their hair to grow back and for them to look like a normal dog, but that's all it takes is time, just time. And so you can help us help animals like this by thinking about fostering yourself. If you have been a foster or you're interested in fostering, this is one of those cases that can be so rewarding because the animals can look, completely bald, missing their hair, and they just look so pitiful sometimes. But just in a matter of weeks, a few months, they are going to have a full body of fur, and they're going to be wonderful, wonderful pets for someone. So this is Demodectic mange, not contagious. It would be perfectly fine to have this animal in a home with your other dogs and cats. And so great question. It's important to know which type of mange you're dealing with there. But if it's the non-contagious type, it just takes time. And so considering being a foster for animals like this is a wonderful help to not only the Houston SPCA, but to all animals in need. Great question. Thank you so much. I hope your foster gets well, completely well very soon. What other questions can I help you with?
So Jamie was wondering, you just talked about that specific kind of mange. She wanted to know if cats or other animals also get that.
That's a great question. So cats can also get both Demodectic mange and sarcoptic mange. They have different species of those mites, but they can get them. I will say with Demodectic mange, cats don't seem to get it as frequently. We don't identify it in cats as readily as we do in dogs, but cats actually do get a type of non-contagious Demodectic mange. That's just a different species that affects the different animal groups. In terms of sarcoptes, the contagious type, cats can get that as well. Pigs can get that as well. And so there are other species that can get those. They're usually just different species of mites. But yes, cats and other species can get the contagious type as well. So if you think that your pet has the contagious type, see your family veterinarian. They will do a test. What we do is we do what's called a skin scraping. We take like a little sharp blade and we get some skin cells and look at them under the microscope, and you can see those little buggers crawling around. I mean, it's really cool. If you like to look at bugs under a microscope, it's really cool to see. And so we can identify what type of mange your pet has quite easily. So this would be a great foster for someone. Just one of those very rewarding cases.
So Kristen asked the question, if she does have a pet at home that has a contagious disease, should all the other pets, like how serious should the quarantine be? Like they shouldn't be in the house at all if there's other pets, or is it more about just keeping them separate in different rooms?
That is a wonderful question too. And I will say some of it depends on the type of contagious disease and how it's spread. Think about us. Some diseases that even are communicable and spread between people, it depends on how it spreads. Sometimes it's spread through the air, through sneezing, through coughing. And so in those cases, you don't want to be in the same room because as those respiratory particles spread, your other pets can inhale those particles and they can come down with the disease. Other types of contagious diseases like skin disease require contact. So it requires them to be very close together, maybe rubbing skin together or fur together. Or sometimes you could be hugging your pet that has a contagious disease, get their fur and skin cells on you, and then you can transmit those contagious skin cells and fur cells to your other pet. And so sometimes it just depends on the type of disease. But I would say a safe bet, you can talk to your family veterinarian again about the method of transmission, but keeping them at least in completely separate rooms would be a good start. For example, intestinal parasites that are shed in the feces. So they can be in the same room, but what winds up happening is if they're in the grass together, and you know how dogs are, they sniff around in the grass, they lick things. If they ingest those microscopic parasitic eggs, that they can also get the parasites that way. So a lot of it just depends on what disease we're talking about, what's the method of transmission, and that can help us determine how serious you need to be about keeping them isolated. So talk to your veterinarian, but at least keep them in different rooms for now.
So based on some of this information, this great information you've been sharing, Mark wanted to know, what were your thoughts about taking your pets to dog parks?
Oh, that's an even better question. Thank you, Mark. So taking your newly adopted pet to dog parks. If you have a puppy, and you are not certain whether your puppy has what we call a full set of vaccinations, and what we mean by a full set of vaccinations is it generally means 2, 3, or 4 sets of vaccinations, depending on the age of your puppy. So if your puppy does not have 2, 3, or 4 vaccinations, and your veterinarian has not cleared your puppy to be around other unknown pets, I would stay out of the dog parks. And the reason is there's lots of animals coming to the dog park, and we don't know what diseases they could be carrying. We don't know what diseases are present in that environment. And so we want your puppy to be completely, fully vaccinated, have the most competent of immune systems to fight off disease before you take them to the dog park. So just make sure they're fully vaccinated and cleared by your family veterinarian before you take them out.
So how does the Houston SPCA manage diseases when there's so many animals that come in that could or could not have a contagious disease?
I could talk forever on this. If y'all want to stay late, and we'll have an after class about how we manage disease in large populations. I mean, there is definitely a science to it. And a lot of that is, again, recognizing disease. We have experienced veterinarians and experienced veterinary nurses who are able to pick up on even the most subtle signs of disease as animals come in. So we do exams on them. If any animal has disease that we can treat, we will treat it. But if they don't have disease, then we want to try to prevent it, right? So we have a whole preventive protocol. What do we do to prevent them from getting disease while they're here with so many other animals that have questionable backgrounds coming from all over the city, all over the state sometimes? And so if we have not identified disease and we're at the point where we want to prevent it, vaccinations, flea, tick preventive, heartworm prevention, deworming, we do everything that we can to prevent them from getting disease. Again, sometimes we do everything we possibly can, and sometimes animals have already come into contact with the disease before we've gotten them, and so they may still come down with illness, but we do everything that we can to identify it and isolate those animals that have something contagious. So much like people, when animals have a contagious disease, we separate them, we isolate them, we keep them under treatment, and we try to mitigate any sort of spread so that it doesn't affect the larger group of our population. And speaking of that, I have a final pet that I want to show you guys, and that's a cat, a cute little cat that we have that's not currently available for adoption, but is going to be made available for adoption when she's healthy. This cat is a cat that came to us and developed an upper respiratory infection, one of the most common infectious diseases that we see in cats in the shelter. And that's like a cold. When I say an upper respiratory infection, I'm essentially saying this cat has a cold. She's sneezy. She has a little bit of runny eyes. Sometimes they have a little runny nose, just like we do when we have a cold. It's very common in shelter cats. And some of that is because it's a virus and it spreads just like the cold among people. So this is one of our little kitties here. So cute. Oh my goodness. Isn't she beautiful? Beautiful. But you can see right here in this right eye that there's just a little bit of discharge there. Yes, you're so pretty. A little bit of discharge there in the right eye. And so even though she's not showing symptoms right now, when she was diagnosed with her upper respiratory infection, she was sneezing and had a little bit of nasal discharge, just like we do. We're doing the sneezing, the itchy, watery eyes. Our cats can get that as well. And this is a condition that is contagious among cats. And so when we identify it in our cats, we separate them and we treat them and we wait until they are healthy and better. But it's a very, very common condition, very treatable, and the animals do very, very well. Another condition that does really well in foster. So if you are interested or ever been interested in fostering a pet, a cat that has an upper respiratory infection would be a wonderful pet to start with. It does require some medication to be administered, but we can help you. We can train you in that, and you can help us save so many of these pets that have illnesses and injuries that are completely treatable, and we just need an extra helping hand from you guys, from the community, to help us get these animals well. So cute. So yes, thank you so much. Any other final questions?
Just one more. Patrick wanted to know if you do join foster family and are taking care of a cat with a URI. Does it crossbreed? So could I have a dog in the home and it would be safe?
Such a great question. Most of the cats with upper respiratory infection have viruses, and these viruses are specific to cats. There are rare conditions where cats will get Bordetella. Most of you have heard of Bordetella because Bordetella causes kennel cough in dogs. There are some rare conditions where cats can contract Bordetella. It would also cause your cat to be coughing. And so it is possible. So I would still take the same precautions, where if you have a pet that has contagious disease, if you can keep them separate from your other pets, it's better to be safe. But there are some rare conditions and rare instances where bacteria can actually cross species. Viruses sometimes are less likely, particularly among dogs and cats, but bacteria can be an issue sometimes. Great questions, you guys. Again, we can talk so long about these things. Thank you guys for joining us every week and helping us help the lives of all of these animals. Please come on down. Visit with us tomorrow, our Clear the Shelters event, sponsored by Hill Science Diet. And we are going to be doing lots of adoptions, finding lots of wonderful homes for our pets. So come on down. It's going to be fun for the whole family. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.